In a heart-wrenching moment of potential relief, families torn apart by the Gaza conflict are finally seeing a ray of hope as hostages prepare for release. But is this the breakthrough we've all been waiting for, or just the calm before another storm? As the world watches closely, let's dive into the unfolding drama of a historic agreement between Israel and Hamas, mediated by key players like the United States under President Donald Trump. This isn't just another news update. It's a story of human emotion, political maneuvering, and the fragile dance of diplomacy. Stick around, because while the headlines scream progress, there are layers here that might surprise you, and we'll unpack them step by step to make sure everyone can follow along, even if you're new to the complexities of Middle Eastern politics. Emotional outpourings from hostage families, tears of joy and prayers answered, published at 49 BST. Lucy Manning, special correspondent. The news of the deal has sparked an outpouring of raw emotion on social media. From relatives of hostages and those who've already been freed, it's a poignant reminder of the human cost of this conflict, where families have endured unimaginable pain. For instance, Eli Sharabi, who tragically lost his wife and children, and whose brother Yossi's remains are still held by Hamas, shared a message of cautious optimism. "I'm filled with immense happiness and can't wait to welcome everyone back home." This simple statement captures the bittersweet joy of potential reunion amidst ongoing grief. Similarly, the mother of hostage Matan Zangauker expressed her heartfelt anticipation on X, formerly Twitter. "Matan is coming back to me, to you, and to our nation. These are the tears I've been praying for." Her words highlight the deep, personal longing that fuels these reactions, making the abstract idea of a peace deal feel intensely real and urgent. The mother of another hostage, Nimrod Cohen, kept it straightforward and tender. "My child, you're on your way home." And then there's former British-Israeli hostage, Emily Damari, who celebrated alongside Romy Gonen, another ex-hostage, by reciting prayers of thanks and raising a glass with l'chaim, a traditional Jewish toast meaning to life. For beginners, think of it as a celebratory cheer, like saying cheers at a party, but rooted in gratitude for survival and hope. Emily has been tirelessly advocating for the release of her friends, the Berman twins, Gali and Ziv. Their brother, Liron Berman, added his voice with pure affection. "My Gali and Ziv, I love you endlessly. You're finally coming home." These personal stories aren't just side notes. They humanize the broader geopolitical events, showing how one agreement can ripple through lives in profound ways. But here's where it gets controversial. While these families rejoice, critics argue that such deals might embolden groups like Hamas, potentially leading to more cycles of violence. What do you think? Does prioritizing hostage releases justify the concessions made? 2. White House Insights. Hostage releases kicking off soon. Published at 0046 BST, Israel's cabinet is set to vote on the deal tomorrow, and approval would trigger Israel's withdrawal to a predetermined boundary line, a process expected to wrap up in less than 24 hours, according to a high-ranking White House official speaking to our CBS News partners. Once that happens, a 72-hour countdown begins for the release of the Israeli hostages. The official confidently stated, "We believe the hostages will start coming home as early as Monday." To clarify for those unfamiliar, this phased approach ensures a step-by-step de-escalation, reducing the risk of sudden flare-ups. However, they noted that Hamas might accelerate the timeline if feasible, adding an element of unpredictability. This flexibility could be a sign of goodwill, but it also raises questions about trust. After all, in high-stakes negotiations, every hour counts. And this is the part most people miss. The deal's success hinges on both sides adhering strictly to these timelines. Yet history shows that such agreements in the region have often faced delays or breakdowns. 3. Netanyahu's optimism. A great day for Israel. published at 034 BST. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has issued a fresh statement, hailing the agreement between Hamas and Israel on the initial stage of the Gaza peace plan as a tremendous day for Israel. He plans to gather his government tomorrow for approval, emphasizing the goal to return all our beloved hostages safely. Netanyahu extended gratitude to Israel's military forces and to U.S. allies, President Donald Trump and his administration, for their dedication to this holy mission of freeing our hostages. This acknowledgement underscores the international collaboration at play, but it also subtly highlights the political capital Trump is gaining, a point that could spark debate among those who view his involvement as overly transactional. 4. Hamas's perspective, a path to ending the war and upholding rights, published at 032 BST. Diving deeper into Hamas's official response, as reported by our CBS News partners, the group outlines that the deal will conclude the aggression against Gaza, secure the full pullout of occupying forces, facilitate humanitarian assistance, and carry out a prisoner swap. They express appreciation to mediators from Qatar, Egypt, Turkey, and President Trump for their efforts. Hamas urges Trump and other involved parties to guarantee that the Israeli occupying government adheres completely to the agreement's conditions. They commend the Gaza populace for their extraordinary bravery, dignity, and valor, and reaffirm their commitment. We will not forsake our people's national aspirations until we attain liberty, sovereignty, and self-governance. For newcomers to this topic, this statement reflects Hamas's dual role as a militant group and a political entity claiming to represent Palestinian rights, which often clashes with Israel's security concerns. But here's where it gets controversial. By framing the deal as an end to occupation, Hamas is asserting a narrative that many Israelis see as a threat to their existence. Does this language set the stage for future disputes? Or is it a necessary step toward mutual recognition? 5. Hamas affirms the deal, a call for compliance. Published at 024 BST, breaking news. Hamas has officially confirmed through a statement that an accord has been secured to halt the hostilities in Gaza. They are appealing to President Trump and the participating nations to pressure Israel into honoring the full terms of the agreement. 6. Qatar's assurance, a step toward war's end. Published at 020 BST. Qatar's foreign ministry has verified that consensus has been achieved on the opening phase of the Gaza ceasefire framework involving Israel and Hamas. A spokesperson announced on X, the facilitators declare that an accord on all elements and execution strategies of the initial Gaza truce phase has been finalized tonight, paving the way for terminating the conflict, liberating Israeli captives and Palestinian detainees, and permitting aid deliveries. Additional specifics are promised in the near future. This role of Qatar as a mediator illustrates how regional players can bridge divides. But it also invites scrutiny. Are these nations truly neutral, or do they have their own agendas in the mix? Netanyahu's pledge, bringing everyone home. Published at 013 BST. Breaking news. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has declared in a statement, "With divine assistance, we will reunite them all," alluding to the Israeli hostages detained by Hamas in Gaza. 8. Behind the scenes, intense negotiations lead to breakthrough. Published at 010 BST. Tom Bateman, U.S. State Department correspondent. President Trump's revelation followed a whirlwind of activity, including talks at Sharm el-Sheikh in Egypt between Israel and Hamas representatives, as well as developments in Washington. Earlier, Trump indicated he might head to Egypt by this weekend, possibly as soon as Friday, per his aides. He remarked that a resolution was imminent after Secretary of State Marco Rubio whispered in his ear and handed him a note confirming the closeness of a deal. Reports suggest the pact entails swapping all surviving hostages for a specified number of Palestinian inmates, coupled with Israel's repositioning to a mutually agreed boundary, with exchanges slated to commence shortly. To help beginners grasp this, imagine it as a delicate trade-off. One side gives up leverage, hostages, for the other to release prisoners, all while troops adjust positions to create a buffer zone. This phased structure aims to build trust incrementally, but past deals in the region have shown how easily things can unravel. 9. White House Buzz, From Tension to Action, published at all:07 BST. Bernd Debusman Jr., reporting from the White House. The past few hours at the White House have been marked by suspense and stillness. Following Rubio's earlier note, an unusually large group of journalists has lingered at their stations, anticipating updates. The day's press pool, including the BBC, was extended beyond the norm. Among reporters, there was a sense that a major announcement or even a Trump appearance was on the horizon. It finally arrived via Truth Social, sparking a burst of energy. Journalists dashed to their camera teams, and now the basement is alive with the sounds of keyboards clacking. Whether more disclosures follow tonight remains uncertain. This behind-the-scenes glimpse reveals the high-wire act of real-time diplomacy, where a single post can shift global narratives. 10. Trump's announcement, a historic peace milestone, published at 23:54 BST. Breaking news. U.S. President Donald Trump shared on social media that Israel and Hamas have endorsed the initial segment of our peace initiative. He elaborated, "This signifies that every hostage will be freed shortly, and Israel will reposition their forces to a mutually accepted boundary as the opening moves toward a robust, lasting, and eternal peace. Fair treatment for all involved. This marks a splendid occasion for the Arab and Muslim communities, Israel, neighboring countries, and the United States, and we extend our thanks to the intermediaries from Qatar, Egypt, and Turkey who collaborated with us to realize this monumental and unparalleled achievement. Blessed are those who foster peace." 11. Trump's travel plans, Middle East on the horizon, published at 23:47 BST. Bernd Debusman Jr., reporting from the White House. As of Wednesday evening, no concrete details exist on Trump's potential Middle East trip. The nearest hint came from White House Press Secretary Karoline Leavitt, noting Trump's upcoming visit to Walter Reed Medical Center for a scheduled encounter with military personnel and his annual health checkup, followed by a return to the White House. President Trump is contemplating a journey to the Middle East soon after, she added. This uncertainty adds intrigue, as travel could symbolize deeper U.S. commitment, or merely a photo op. 12. A whispered update. Rubio's note sparks momentum, published at 23:45 BST. Bernd Debusman Jr., reporting from the White House. Image source, Getty Images. The evening's first sign of progress on the Gaza Accord emerged during a domestic-focused event on law enforcement and Antifa. Near the conclusion, Secretary of State Marco Rubio joined the room, seating himself close to Trump, alongside Chief of Staff Susie Wiles and Press Secretary Karoline Leavitt. From my vantage point amid the press crowd, Rubio appeared a bit anxious and restless. He jotted a message on White House stationery, passed it to Trump, and then leaned in to murmur in his ear. Trump reviewed the note, nodded approvingly, and as questions flew from reporters, he paused to reveal it indicated we're very near to an agreement. He departed shortly after, stating he needed to concentrate on Middle East matters. Earlier, when queried about a possible Gaza visit, Trump replied, "I might," mentioning plans to visit Egypt and tour the area. This moment captures the thrill of diplomacy in action, but it also underscores how personal interactions can drive policy. A reminder that even world leaders deal with the unexpected. Image source, Getty Images. 13. Trump's optimism, deal on the brink, published at 23:41 BST. U.S. President Donald Trump described a Gaza peace accord as imminent, following prolonged indirect discussions between Israel and Hamas in Egypt. During a White House address on Wednesday afternoon, Secretary of State Marco Rubio entered and delivered a note, seemingly urging Trump to authorize a Truth Social update on Gaza for a timely reveal. The White House indicated Trump is mulling a trip to the Middle East soon. A Palestinian source informed the BBC that mediators from Egypt, Qatar, and Turkey concluded 7 hours of sessions with Hamas representatives, including affiliates from other Palestinian factions. Now, they're engaging Israel's team to resolve outstanding points. This evolving narrative promises more developments as they arise. And this is the part most people miss. In a region scarred by mistrust, such deals often hinge on unstated assurances. What if one side interprets the terms differently? Could this be a genuine path to peace, or a strategic pause for both parties to regroup? As we wrap up this detailed look at the Gaza peace plan, it's clear that while families celebrate and leaders hail progress, the road ahead is fraught with potential pitfalls. But here's where it gets controversial. By involving figures like Trump, whose style divides opinions, does this deal risk polarizing the process further? Is Hamas's insistence on national rights a bridge to dialogue or a barrier to compromise? And ultimately, can a phased withdrawal and prisoner swap truly lead to everlasting peace? Or are we witnessing another fragile truce in a cycle of conflict? What are your thoughts? Do you see this as a triumph of diplomacy or a risky gamble that might backfire? Is Trump's role a game changer or just another layer of complexity? Share your agreements, disagreements, or fresh perspectives in the comments. Let's discuss.